Hi, I'm Chris Oldland. I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Field Service News, and I'm reporting here live at the Field Service Management Expo in London. And I'm here on the Excel Computer Systems stand with Simon Spriggs from Excel Computer Systems, who also offer Eagle Field Service. Simon, it's really good to see you as always.
Hi Chris, Andrew. Good to spend some time.
Now, what I wanted to talk to you today about, Simon, is actually an article I wrote in the last issue of Field Service News. I wrote an article asking, are we about to see the rise in service ERP? And I remember a couple of years back you talking to me about a very similar concept. You defined it as service CRM. I think we're looking at the same issue from two different sides of the coin, really. My kind of fundamental point that I got to in the article was field service companies now are perhaps asking more than ever before from your standard FSM tool, and for your FSM solution to be just a plug-in or an element of an ERP or an element of a CRM or a plug-in to either of those is perhaps not meeting those demands, and we're ultimately going to see the rise of FSM technology kind of sit on parity with CRM and ERP. I wanted to pick that conversation back up with you because I know it kind of echoes some of what we were talking about in the past.
See, CRM really, people think it's just a sales system, but it's not now. CRM is just as important within the service side as we've said. Our customers and other people out there want to know far more now about what their customer's doing, not just about an engineer visit and what he's done on that visit and what parts he's used. When they open up that customer record, they want to be able to see, right, well, they've called in this week, they sent this email to this colleague last week. So depending on what the customer's going to talk to them about, they can go wherever they need to very quickly. And that's so important. You need to understand your customers properly, not just on the service side, to be able to get a view of what they're going to be talking to you about.
Do you think the fact that we are constantly talking about integration, we've been talking about integration for a long time now, it's no longer a USP for a company to say we have X, Y, and Z easy integration, we have X, Y, and Z APIs. It's kind of become the norm, it's become the standard. Yeah. Do you think this is something that's perhaps facilitating this now? So the flow of data from one business system to another is much easier. Do you think that's something that's driving this kind of concept that we're both talking about?
Absolutely, because do you know what I find in this, and I get this comment from a lot of my customers, is that actually your best salespeople are actually your engineers.
Yeah.
And that's why you've got to join up this process. And the more information you can capture whilst you're on that customer site, the customer doesn't view it as an engineer selling to them. They view it as just someone coming along, fixing something, and they spot something, they have a natural conversation with him. They don't view as him selling to him.
Yeah.
So it's really important that any system begins to capture that information, because service then feeds the sales side as well, and that's why they've got to be so joined together. And more companies now are beginning to realise that. And you're right, people are wanting far more than these just standalone service systems now.
As a heritage, Excel have always served the British manufacturing market, and that's kind of, I know you have different clients in different areas, but it's always been quite a big focus. Aside from there, and the OEMs, I would assume you interact with third-party service providers. Do you think that for them, an FSM tool, somebody that perhaps doesn't need an ERP, do you think an FSM tool with a light CRM, for example, is sufficient?
No, absolutely, because as we said just now, people are wanting far more, and bizarrely, sometimes people are drawing on elements of the other ERPs. Bits of our solution without even knowing it. Workshops, for example, people bring kits in to get stuff repaired. You need to track and cost that out as well, and that's where you've got, certainly within the Eagle Field Service solution, you have the chance to be able to do that. But people need to do more within their service systems now, and the service department's kind of remit is getting wider and wider. And it is so important that the service department is given every opportunity to be able to earn that money for your company.
One final question. Is there a case, perhaps, you just touched on this a little bit there, is it a case that the technology and the functionality is quite often there, but there's perhaps a lack of full understanding of the breadth and depth of solutions, perhaps a challenge with implementation where people just want to get it up and running as quickly as possible, and perhaps aren't then having a second or third wave of iterative changes so they can access things like workshop elements, etc., or the reverse logics chain? And if so, do you think that falls on your shoulders as a provider, or do you think that is up to the field service organisation to kind of keep knocking on your door really and saying, look, Simon, what more can we do with your system?
Our customers and prospective customers, they want us to be thought leaders. And it's really important that we're one step ahead of the game. I think we're one of the few software providers out there that have a user group, and we begin to understand what our customers want. And being that one step ahead and actually trying to give our customers that little bit more, I think is helping the marketplace in general. But I wish more and more software companies would kind of uncloset themselves really from the little silos they're in. Because certainly with service, you've got to think bigger. And I know we've spoken about this over the last few years. That's the way to go. And if you want to get more out of your service department, you've got to be able to put more into your service system.
Excellent. Simon Spriggs, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Good to see you. Thank you.